The topic which I'm going to talk about is reading. And the title Oxygen in Pages is interestingly titled. We all know that trees are essential for our living, right? But many of us don't know that even after the trees are cut off, they still provide us oxygen in form of books, right? I've had an inspiring journey of reading, and the intent of my talk today is to inspire you guys to benefit from reading the way I have benefited as well. So the power of reading, right? There have been study conducted by Yale, which says that by reading you can expand or increase your lifespan by 2 years. How does that happen? It increases your emotional ability, it increases your relatability with other people, it helps you to prevent loneliness, and thus it enhances your life as well. The word exposure, a minimalistic 20 minutes daily can expose you to more than 2 million words annually. Now that's a lot of words, right? Finally, the stress reduction. Reading is also known to benefit from reducing stress, right? How did I come about doing this, right? Till about 6 years back, I was not a big fan of reading. In fact, I would attribute my being here in front of you, delivering a talk, to my reading. So this is story of December 2017. I was coming back after my school reunion, and a close friend of mine who was very good at reading, and I was just telling him, hey, I plan to write a book. And he kind of smirked and laughed at me, and he said, Hetal, before you think about writing a book, you need to read a lot more. And I was like really angry. I said, I'm going to show this to this guy. And I decided from the year 2018 that I'm going to read 100 books a year. You would ask me, why 100? Because I have heard, and I'm assuming it's true, Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates read more than 50 books a year. Now, on all other parameters, I can never beat these gentlemen. So I said, let me beat them on this parameter, and I'm going to read double the books that they read. So 2018 till now, I have read 100 books every year. And the wisdom and the knowledge and the experience that I've gained out of this reading is the reason why I'm here confident and talking to you. So today I will narrate to you a few examples and instances of how reading has impacted me and how I believe that it can actually impact you as well. Leadership. Someone has quoted, today a reader, tomorrow a leader. Right? There are few leaders in this world who would not attribute their knowledge and wisdom to books. Way back in the past, Mahatma Gandhi, Abraham Lincoln, Winston Churchill, they were all phenomenally voracious readers. And they were not just readers, they attributed their knowledge and wisdom to reading. Right? In today's world, if you look at Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, Satya Nadella, they are all voracious readers, and they all regularly cite and quote instances from the books that they've read and how the books have influenced their mind, their vision, and their profession, right? If you hear about Warren Buffett's investment methodology, you hear about Bill Graham, the famous investor in 1960s, whose book has actually influenced Warren Buffett's investment methodology. Similarly, Bill Gates was reading lots of books right from school days. And he was able to accumulate so much of knowledge and information that he could actually become an entrepreneur and start the company Microsoft just while he was in college as well. The great book dilemma, right? So whenever we talk about reading, we are confused about where to start from. And I think that confusion is fairly natural. The numbers here really tell the story. Today, if you talk about just the language English, and we look at the relatable content in form of books, mostly non-fiction, there are 130 million books that you can potentially read. Any guesses on how many books an average human being reads in his entire lifetime? 2,500. So you understand the dilemma? You have 130 million potential books to read. All that you're going to read in your entire lifetime is 2,500. You might say, sir, you read 100 books a year, I'm sure you're going to read more. I'm just turned 50 this year, right? So another 40 years, even if I read 100 books, I'm just going to read 4,000 books more. That's it. Not more than that, right? And that actually shows that the value in reading lies not in selection, but in rejection. You should feel proud about rejecting books left, right, and center. People might say it's a bestseller. People might say that they loved the book. A TEDx speaker might say he was heavily influenced by that book. If you don't like it, don't read it. For me, the minimalistic barometer is 60 to 70 pages, right? By first 1/4 of the book, by the time you reach 1/4 of the book, if the content is not engaging in nature, if you're not able to relate to it, if you're not able to hang on to the book for a sustained period of time, just drop it, right? We are sometimes passionate by the fact that we spent money on that book. You might have spent 300 rupees, you might have spent 500 rupees. You might feel, no, I should read it. Or one good friend of yours has suggested it, and you know that friend is actually really smart and he's knowledgeable. That's okay. There's a book for everyone, and every book is not for everyone, right? So be very selective in your content, because the more selective you get, the more further you will go, right? Because you'll be able to constantly read more books because you're going towards a more essential book, the book which closely relates to you. Learning what to ignore is the most important skill. The more you ignore, the more you learn. Timing for your reading, right? The other important aspect which comes in reading is when to read. Morning, afternoon, evening. There's a book for every part of the day. There are certain highly knowledgeable content which you would want to read early in the morning, because science has proved that what you read in the morning stays with you for a longer period of time. Some light, easy content could be read in the afternoon, something which might typically make you fall asleep, and it might help you with your afternoon siesta. Something which is again very light is what is preferable towards the evening and the bedtime. You don't want to read a horror story towards the end and get crazy nightmares when you're sleeping, right? So you need to be very careful about what you read and what time you're reading. You don't need to read all day, mind you. I'm not asking you to. But depending on what time you're reading, you can adjust your content accordingly. Multiple reading, right? So a lot of people, including myself, we read different books parallel at the same time. We don't hang on to one particular book, however we may like it, because we want to make sure that we are reading content according to our state of mind. So it's not just about the timing of the day, it's the state of the mind that you are in, right? So when you started fresh in the morning, your mind is fresh. You're not allowing any external incident or activity in the day to actually impact you as well. So that's why also timing is very important. Value of fiction. Let me not go rat and rat on non-fiction. There is a lot of value in fiction as well. What fiction teaches you is empathy. It helps you to be able to relate to many more people. Obviously, the writers who write fiction are actually influenced by real life. And today, if you read the kind of crazy stuff which goes on in real life in newspapers, sometimes you wish that what you read is non-fiction in newspaper. You would have preferred it to be fiction. And sometimes you come across amazing stories in fiction, and you would actually desire that, I wish this story was true. I wish there was a person like this whom I could relate to. I wish there was a character like this whom I could relate to. That's the dilemma which we face when we compare fiction and non-fiction. But yes, fiction also has its state of advantages. It enhances brain activity. It helps you to imagine a lot more. If someone's imagination allowed him or her to write a book of 300 pages, imagine what that imagination can actually do for you. You could be inspired. You know, there are books nowadays which say that it can help you to predict or change the ending. You can come up with your own theories, come up with an anti-character, come up with a character who's contrasting hero of the book that you read, and you could actually come out with a bestseller novel yourself, right? Finally, the mental resilience, right? Fiction allows you to be able to look at more variety of content. You can literally travel places. You can actually read about books of Chinese history. You could read about Japanese culture. You could read about hi-fi lifestyle in US or the Western world, and so on and so forth. So you can stretch your imagination to whatever extent you want, sitting right at your house, right at your couch. Let me talk about some of the transformational books. Obviously, since I read so many books, I could not have covered all the books, but I tried to look at a very diverse set of books, which I thought could be a great example for all of you to be able to appreciate what I learned from them. Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. I have forgotten the number of times I made reference to this book. A lot of people prefer James Clear's Atomic Habit when it comes to building habits, but for me, the Bible of habits is Power of Habit. It allowed me to inculcate the habit of reading. It allowed me to understand and appreciate the value of journaling. It allowed me to become good at managing my whole day and schedule and becoming more efficient in life. It allowed me to be able to spare time for stuff which I really wanted to do and always thought I didn't have enough time till I read this book. Psychology of Money. It's again a very recent book, but it's a best guide for investments, for personal investment, for savings, to be able to understand the difference between being wealthy and being rich. Something very so simple, but actually it has a very deep and enhanced meaning. The third book which I cite about is Give and Take by the author Adam Grant. Adam is really amazing guy. I've read all his books. But the reason I was so impressed by Give and Take, it showed me the meaning of kindness. It inspired me so much towards the element of giving in life that I decided to have 50 acts of kindness in the year 2019. And each of those acts was a memorable story and incident in my life. Going further, we look at some of the other books. Chi of Running. I think you guys heard in the introduction that I'm a marathon runner and an Ironman. You would be surprised to know that the real inspiration for me to run came from a book called Chi Running. It's a very simple, basic book. If you want to pick up running, it tells you the very basic in terms of how your stance should be, how your breathing should be, how long you should go, what's the frequency that you should run, and so on and so forth. Something very simple, but I could easily read it through a book. I'm sure all of you can actually reach out to a physical coach and actually get some guidance. But a very structured way of learning, a book can teach you. There are some business books like Walter Isaacson's biography of Steve Jobs and Elon Musk, and Amazon Unbound on Jeff Bezos and the way he's created that company. All of you might be aspiring for different careers in your life. Entrepreneurship is definitely one which many of you aspire for. And when you read about these big leaders and how they literally started from scratch, how they encountered different challenges in their life, what is their personality like? What is Elon behind the scene? Why does he do all the crazy things that he does? How is he able to do multiple different businesses at the same time? Why was Steve Jobs considered so great? The books all have that information there. You can easily go through those 300, 400 pages and feel as if you actually lived their lives yourself, because you go through step by step of their life journey and learn so much. Finally, I wanted to take up a very offbeat book, and The Beautiful Life of Trees is one example which I wanted to share. It's a 300-page book which talks about trees. It talks about how trees are as much a living organism like me and you. It talks about how trees also breathe on a regular basis. Trees talk to each other. Trees protect each other. Trees migrate and navigate across continents by dispersion, right? A lot of such information which we might have considered mundane and boring when we encountered trees and vegetation in school, now we realize it's such an evolved knowledge, and it has got such an important and critical element in our daily lives. Books on therapy, right? A lot of us go through mental challenges. A lot of us go through isolation. Some of us might be introverts who might not really know whom to talk to. And I have realized that books are a great support in terms of mental challenges. Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, a beautiful book which talks about how Viktor survived Holocaust. He was in the prison camps against when the Nazis had imprisoned him, and he survived. And he came out and shared his beautiful story. And he talked about how hope of coming out was something which made him continue to keep on going. Tuesdays with Morrie is again a beautiful book which I cite. The reason I've highlighted here is for two reasons. One is Tuesdays with Morrie is the book which helped me with detachment. It helped me to understand how to go through those tough times when I was going through separation and divorce myself. And the various simple explanations which Morrie was able to give to the author, Mitch Albom, really helped me be able to relate to that. The other interesting part is you heard that I'm a published author. My book, Against All Odds, I totally devote or dedicate my enthusiasm for that book to Tuesdays with Morrie. I literally replicated Morrie's journey as my father's journey and came out with my own book. And finally, when we talk about mindfulness and meditation, Om Swami is one guru which I follow on a regular basis, who's authored more than 20 books. Mindful to Mindful is one of the very popular books which he has published. And there is very simple journey to spirituality which you can all go through simply by reading books. Enough of examples. Now what we talk about is the journey in reading is not just a journey with the author, right? You actually feel that when you're reading a book, you're actually talking to the author on a regular basis. You can connect with the authors nowadays on social media. You can stay updated on what they're publishing next, what they're gonna write next, what are their views on the topic even after they've written. The book was published 10 years back, they might have a completely different view. So you can connect with them on social media, have ongoing conversation, have a fresh perspective on the topic. Reading is also a social experience. You can connect on apps like Goodreads, which is a social media app for books. So instead of wasting your time watching reels on Insta, instead of watching on useless stuff on Facebook, why don't you connect on Goodreads, and I can actually hear and listen about new good books, different books which different people have read on a regular basis, and you can actually learn from that as well. Finally, how to read more. I thought I would probably, towards the end, I would come up with some tips for you to look forward to. An important element is treat books like friends, right? Friends make you laugh, books make you do that as well. Books make you laugh, books make you cry, books make you fear, books energize you, books motivate you. You can take your book everywhere. You can take it to the bedroom, you can take it to the bathroom, you can take it to the beach, you can take it to the mountain, you can take it to your grave as well. A lot of people are aspiring to have identified the books which inspired them in their life to take them to their grave as well. So in summary, choose wisely. Choose what you read. Embrace all formats. You don't need to stick to physical books even if you like that. You can switch to Kindle, you can switch to Audible. I listen to audiobooks all the time when I'm on a run or a walk. Timing matters. What time of the day you read also matters. The kind of content that you read. Consistency over quality, right? Try and read for 20 minutes every day. You could be reading more than 2 million words in the whole year, which is quite a lot, right? Read multiple books. Keep changing formats, keep changing the type of content. Conclusion, for your next chapter, I hope that all of you are inspired by this talk, inspired enough to look for a nearest bookstore out of here, to go up and pick up a couple of books. If digital books is your way, download Kindle app, download some digital books which you can read, or if you are like me, you might want to actually look at audiobooks as well. Explore, unlock the potential, make sure that books are your best friend, and remember, books will be your everlasting friend. They will not ditch you. They will be always there with you. Surround your house with books and you'll never feel lonely alone. Thank you very much.